Hi, everybody. Welcome to the episode of In the School Parking Lot. I'm your host. I'm Paul Everts. You can reach me at my email address, and I wish you would. It's BAND, the number 2, together, band together, Comcast.net. Also, go to our handy dandy website, which is conductingmylife.com, where you can get that book right here. Boom, Conducting My Life. Also, you'll see that I'm a speaker, trainer, coach for the Maxwell team. Love to come out and give you some one-on-one help. Work with a group that's close to you. I can either do a church group, private sector, public sector as well. Contact us. We use the Maxwell material, and John Maxwell is an author who is stupendous. I love John Maxwell. I'm recording this on the 18th of June, and we have put it out on the 6th of July. Real quick, who am I? I'm a teacher. I've been a high school teacher since 1989. I retired early because the administrator at the time in April 2021 told me to leave Jesus Christ in the school parking lot. He actually said in the parking lot. And then October, he told me, now he's the HR director, and he says, you can't say I love you to your students anymore. And got to get off social media. So I wouldn't do either of those things, and therefore I retired early. Happy to say, though, that 3 years later, he admitted to my wife that what happened to me was strictly political. Anyway, we are working out of this book, which is a great book, Crimes of the Educators. You can get that book through Amazon, obviously, and we go chapter by chapter. But before we go to the chapter that we're working on, I pull news up. And so this is from the Dallas ISD. It says, Dallas ISD may soon give classes to parents when students misbehave. Written by Cole Sullivan. This is posted June 12th, 2024. Dallas. When students misbehave in the Dallas ISD, their parents may soon end up getting a lesson. A proposed change to the DISD Student Code of Conduct would give campus leaders and parents the option to send misbehaving children to 6-hour Saturday school or community service instead of alternative school, provided their parents also take a 3-hour parenting class. According to the district, the classes would include support and guidance for areas of student concern, parenting sessions to review students' academic and behavioral progress, campus resources to promote positive student outcomes, and mental health support, school counselor involvement. The option to avoid alternative school would not apply to all disciplinary offenses. For several offenses, state law requires districts to send kids to discipline alternative education programs, which is known DAEP. Legislators last year, for example, mandated that students caught with vapes attend the alternative school program. The DISD policy change could apply to other lower level offenses, from bus misconduct to dress code violations, from hazing to cyberbullying. It gives discretion to campus leaders on whether the classes in lieu of DAEP placement are appropriate on a case-by-case basis. Miguel Solis, a former DISD trustee who now serves as chief of staff for the Commit Partnership, says, Dallas ISD for many years now has really been on the cutting edge for transformation, particularly related to its discipline system. His organization cites data claiming the district has seen an 80% drop in suspensions and referrals to reset centers since it implemented the new policies. Well, part of the deal with that last sentence is that restorative justice is probably happening. I think it would be interesting to see what constitutes that what happens to that 80% drop. I think there's some other things going on, like they've been told not to do the suspensions that much, or the referrals. They've told the teachers, no, we're not accepting those. So something's happened there, because that's a huge drop. I don't want to poo on your parade, but something else. When you have an 80% drop, sometimes it's because you were told to do something. Okay, so that's today's news article. you want to read more about that, check out the article in the description today. And again, for the new people, thank you. Also, man, make sure that you're subscribing. Subscribe, share it, press the like button. Help the algorithm know there are a variety of ways of thinking about things. Stop the manipulation with the algorithm. Okay, here we go. The politics of the whole language method. This is chapter 12. I don't read the whole chapter. I read the highlights of it because I really want you to buy the book. Remember, too, this book is not in colleges of education classrooms. The professors don't want teachers to see this book. It's true. It's true. So send this to a teacher. This is not being discussed in the faculty lounge, I can tell you that. Okay, here we go, moving on. The politics of the whole language method. H.L. Mencken. There is no idea so stupid that you can't get from some professor to believe it. It's refreshing and encouraging to know that neuroscientists like Dr. Dane, which is Dehane, have denounced whole language as a faulty way to teach reading. He advocates teaching phonics first, which ensures that the child will become a fluent, efficient reader. But most parents haven't the faintest idea what whole language is. If they did know, they would oppose it strenuously. The best way to define whole language is to simply quote its proponents, who have written books on the subject. They are not at all reticent about describing their idea of reading progress in a book entitled Whole Language. What's the difference? Written by 3 whole language professors in 1991. This is what they said in 1991. Whole language represents a major shift in thinking about the reading process. Rather than viewing reading as getting the words, whole language educators view reading as essentially a process of creating meanings. Meaning is created through a transaction with whole, W-H-O-L-E, whole, which is probably leading to holes, H-O-L-E-S. Meaningful texts, i.e., texts of any length that were written with the intent to communicate meaning. It is a transaction, not an extraction of meaning from the print, in the sense that the reader-created meanings are a fusion of what the reader brings and what the text offers. Although students who learn to read in whole language classrooms are, like all proficient readers, eventually able to read, and he puts that in quotes, read or identify a large inventory of words. Learning words is certainly not the goal of whole language. Okay, so you get an idea. Now here's something that you need to take a look at. This is interesting. I don't remember this being taught at the university I went to. This is from Lev Vygotsky, Vygotsky, 1836 to 1934. You might ask, who is Vygotsky? Lev Vygotsky was a Soviet psychologist who worked with Pavlov's colleagues at the State Institute of Experimental Psychology in Moscow in the 1920s and 30s. James Wirtz, W-E-R-T-S-C-H, James Wirtz, Vygotsky's biographer, wrote, quote, "It is important to note that Vygotsky was a staunch advocate of dialectical and historical materialism. He was one of the creators of Marxist psychology. People such as Vygotsky and his followers devoted every hour of their lives to making certain that the new socialist state, the first grand experiment based on Marxist-Leninist principles, would strive." Okay, so he's part of the movement to get the whole language thing to happen. Vygotsky's colleague, Alexander Luria, wrote, "Vygotsky was the leading Marxist theoretician among us. In his hands, Marx's methods of analysis did serve a vital role in shaping the course." So he is one of the proponents of this whole language nonsense. I want to go a couple more things for you. When the progressives took over American education at the beginning of the 1900s, their goal was to use the schools as the means of changing America from a capitalistic, individualistic, believing nation into a socialist, collectivist, atheist, or humanist nation. And so when educators write a democratic governance, what form of government are they talking about? John Dewey often used the word democracy as a euphemism for college socialism. And as we know, communist countries often referred to themselves as democracies, like the late unlamented German Democratic Republic. November 1987 article, The Reading Teacher, describes the socialist purpose behind whole language. And I'm going to just a couple more minutes because I don't want to bore you too much more. Here's what they say. This is 1987. Says whole language views the learner as profoundly social. Thus, practice congruent with whole language includes participating in a community of readers, group social studies projects with built-in plans for collaborative learning. Do some investigating in collaborative learning. In reality, a community of readers is really a community of believers all believing in the same thing. The article speaks of a political vision woven through whole language beliefs. Its goal is empowerment of learners and teachers. This is a really good chapter. So let's just get to the last part. This is sad. This is the last part. And again, just last thing. The fact that classroom indoctrination should include political content was made clear in an article in Young Children titled, here's the article, please Google it, search for it, Children's Political Knowledge and Attitudes. Children's Political Knowledge and Attitudes. They wrote, there is a clear rationale for early childhood educators to explore and promote political socialization in young children and to play an important role in it. Children have and express political knowledge and attitudes. Early childhood educators have an important role in helping children understand their social and political environment. These are early child educators. Teachers can choose to model positive citizenship, practice a consensus decision-making process, and foster feelings of altruism and benevolence, all while providing language opportunities to help children learn politically oriented vocabulary. Now, that's from the article. This is from the book. In other words, early childhood education should include political indoctrination by way of vocabulary development, which is very much in line with Ferreri's methodology. In the old days, children sang "My Country 'Tis of Thee," which promoted love of country and its founders. They also sang "America the Beautiful." But that's now old-fashioned, like religion. What's important now is empowerment. William T. Fagan wrote in an article entitled, Empowered Students, Empowered Teachers. Quote, teachers have power over how reading and writing are taught, over how children experience reading and writing within the school text. Teachers who impose a narrow view of reading or writing, word sounding, precision in spelling, may confuse children so that they begin to feel powerless in the school context. Final thing. The notion became the moral justification for cooperative learning, the prevalent form of education that promotes group think. That is why so many individualists hate public education, because it denies them the right to be themselves and own the products of their own brains. So I'm sorry I went over a lot today. Good book, please get it. Come next week, we're going to go to the chapter, California's Literacy Disaster, When Utopians Rule. The children suffer. Thanks a lot for joining us. We have a Venmo account, please. I don't do the other monetary thing. Please, 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 we would love to have your financial support. Till next week, love you. God bless.